Since the inception of the West African Senior Secondary School Certificate Examination, university requirement has largely called for 5 subjects. Mandatory among these are English language and mathematics. Every year, thousands of students run into the course of either having to resit for not getting credits on English and mathematics or painfully changing career path owing to same. To help modify this narrative, Star Television presents on your screen Learning Garage, a platform that guarantees better performance in English language and mathematics with a team of experienced teachers. To this solution, you all are invited, especially those facing WASC. Learning Garage comes to you on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Repeat broadcasts are screened on Saturdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. and on Sundays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Join host Ali Sonta Kamara.
If you mean such element, then of course we'll say the waters of the world in that regard.
And Babatunde Gaira Lamin on these days to make a world of difference.
Fraction that has a numerator which is less than the denominator, we term it as a proper fraction.
Hello there, I am Sonta and this is Learning Garage. Well, this is the grammar segment. For today, we are going to look at tenses. We are going to begin looking at tenses, meaning present tense, past tense, present progressive, past progressive. You call them all the tenses we have in English. We'll have a look at a good number of them today. And then we'll begin by talking about what tenses really are. Okay? Tense has to do with the time an action takes place. The time an action takes place, it indicates the period. It could be now. It could be sometimes after now. It could be the fact that it's ongoing now. So tense actually has to do with the time an action takes place. Well, we'll begin off with present simple and present progressive, or present tense and present continuous. Okay? Present simple and present progressive. Well, the present simple has a number of uses. And then among those, the 2 key things that always, of course, come out are, in fact, they express fact and habit. Okay, the present simple express fact and habit. Of course, if you're talking about the work of art in literature, in poetry, when you're reviewing those elements, we most times use the present simple. You say, for instance, Yaremi thinks that. Okay, the author thinks that, he believes that, for instance. So when reviewing poetry, when reviewing, of course, books, most times the kind of tense we adopt would be the present simple. So those ones are out. We call those ones historic present. Okay, so we use present simple in such work to, of course, create immediacy. But of course, among the good number of uses present simple, as we will say, of course, we will limit ourselves to just 2. In fact, these 2 are so very essential as to being the one when you talk of present simple, the element that come up always. So present simple express fact and habit. Fact, something that is always true. Habit, something habitual. That's very, very essential. So let's have some examples regarding the issue of present simple, talking about fact. So we have here, we live in Freetown. We live in Freetown. A very key element at that. We live in Freetown. We don't say we are living in Freetown. That could be a different case. So we come down to, of course, Jane likes donut. Jane likes donut. So likes there is a present simple or present tense. It rains a lot in the provinces. Again, it's a fact that in the provinces, we have a very a very big array of vegetation. There, of course, the rains always come there, and when they come, of course, in large quantity. So we come down to habit. Abu visits his grandfather every Friday. Abu visits his grandfather every Friday. So every Friday tells you the habits, habitual. It is part of Abu's practice to visit his grandfather every Friday, and of course this gives you the indication, the impression of what, of something habitual like that. So we come down to, she always drinks coffee in the morning. She always drinks coffee in the morning. So again, it's habit, something we do almost always. Okay. So among the good number of usages present simple has, of course, we have limited ourselves to just two. Okay. But the present progressive is the one with the ing. The present progressive, the formula is using is or am or are with any ing verb. The formula for using present progressive, okay, is you have to have am, or you have is, or you have are with any ing verb at that. So Abu is playing, Karim is singing, Alpha is dancing. Okay. So the key difference between present simple and present progressive is that present progressive expresses or indicates an action that is ongoing, that will stop sooner or later. An action that is happening now that will stop sooner or later. It could be in 3-minute time, it could be in 1 hour time, it could be in 4 hour time, it could be in 5 hour time, it could be in 3 days time, it could be in, of course, 10 days time, 5 years time. What is important that it is ongoing, and that activity has to stop sometime in the future. It could be sooner or it could be even later at that. So that is the idea about present progressive. Okay, so if I say, for instance, I am living in Freetown and I live in Freetown. What is different there? I am living in Freetown and I live in Freetown. Somebody say, I am living in Freetown. And another man says, I live in Freetown. So I live in Freetown is present simple. I am living in Freetown is what? Is present progressive. Now the present simple is expressing the idea about permanent residence, meaning that Freetown is your base. Here is your permanent residence. I live in Freetown. But if you say I'm living in Freetown, it means Freetown is a temporary residence. Okay? So you have to actually mean what you say, and you have to say what you mean. Very, very essential. If you live in Bo, but of course you have come up to Freetown to spend 3 or 4 days, or you're on a vacation, for instance, you will say, for instance, I'm living what? In Freetown. That's a temporary residence. So you are temporarily here, but of course you get back to your permanent residence. Very, very essential on how to use them. So we look at some examples regarding present progressive. The one I told you, and then the usage has been that we use the present progressive to talk about action that is ongoing, that will stop sooner or later. So now you are listening to me, and indeed that's what is happening now. It's raining. It's happening now. It will stop, of course, sooner or later. The school team is playing a match against a team from a rival school, for instance. So you see, that's about action that is ongoing. It will stop sooner or later. So let's have a look at some some elements that of course will amount to mistake, especially when using present progressive instead of the present simple. So see here, if we are talking about permanent residence, a place, of course, of your where you live, of course, where in fact is your permanent residence, you are, idea about that one supposed to carry the present simple. Expressing idea about permanent residence require the present simple. Of course, if you are being somewhere else, if you are staying somewhere for some time, and you of course get back to your permanent residence, of course you require the present progressive. So see here, I am living in Bo. If you mean Bo is your permanent residence, this tense is wrong. I am living in Bo, except that Bo is your temporary residence. But if Bo is your permanent resident, this tense is wrong. I'm living in Bo, of course, is referring to a temporary residence. So I live in Bo is correct. It will be correct, of course, if Bo is your permanent residence. Okay? So, of course, we come down to another kind of mistake. Let's say a company is established to produce rubber items. Okay? The company is solely established to produce rubber items, of course, and that's its permanent product. So if you use the present progressive with such, idea, you are of course going into mistake. So our company is producing rubber items. Well, if you mean the company is solely established to produce rubber items, this tense is wrong, because we cannot use the present progressive, because this tense actually has to do with things happening now that will stop sooner or later. It will be in 1 hour time, it will be in 3 hours time, it will be in 4 hours time, it will be in days time, it will be in years time. What is important behind this tense is that whatever action it expresses has to stop, sooner or later. So to say our company is producing rubber items when in fact the company's established product is of course producing rubber items, of course we run into a mistake. So it should be our company produces rubber items, because of course producing rubber item is the company's, of course, shall I say, product. So that is permanent product. Except that in the first example, it will mean that of course the company actually has a permanent product, but of course it has been contracted to of course do some job with rubber items. Probably could be 5-month contract, 7-month contract, kind of. It has been contracted. The company has been contracted to carry out activity dealing with of course rubber items. In that regard, using the present of course progressive is of course no problem. But of course when rubber items, in fact producing rubber items is the company's of course specialty, the company is established solely to do so, of course if we use present progressive in that regard, we are of course running into mistake. So we come back to another one again when we use the present simple instead of the present progressive. So see here, the economy grows again this year. The economy grows again this year. Well, here we have a problem. The idea around the economy of any country is not stable. It could be that it is, of course, growing this year. Then probably something will happen. Of course, it will fall. So you see the of course the big names in the world, America and China. You see they have this fight. You see 1 year America, of course, have a very buoyant kind of economy, and by the time you see the following year something of course happens, it drops like that. So the idea around economy is something that is not stable. Okay, it will be growing now and probably 3 years 4 years to fall, or it will go into recess like that. So it's not stable. So to use of course to talk about to use the present simple with the economy, of course we are running into mistake. It's a wrong, because we use the present simple to talk about fact, something factual, something that is permanent, that is ever the same. Okay, but of course here the issue about economy is not stable. So the best tense to use is what? Is the present progressive, the am, the is, the are with any ing element. So we say what? The economy is growing again this year. So you see, this is correct. So we come down to they build a house next to Freetown Mall. They build a house next to Freetown Mall. But of course we say we use the present simple to talk about fact, something that is ever the same, something that of course forever truthful like that. So the idea about building is something that will last, that will not of course last forever. Of course if somebody begins to build something now, it depends on the person's financial of course stance, that thing just has to stop. It will last for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 7 years. What is important, it has to stop. The idea about building is something that's carry along and has to stop at a certain stage in the future. So of course using the present simple in this regard, regarding building, of course we run into mistake, because it's an activity that will stop sometime in the future. So they are building a house next to Freetown Mall is correct, because the idea of building will of course continue and it has to stop. Everything doing with the building has to stop. It has to come to fruition. Let's just put it that way. Okay, so you have seen the mistakes we sometimes run into when we look at the present simple and present progressive. You actually have to have this in mind. When an activity is happening now, that will stop sooner or later, whether it will stop in 3 hours time, 1 hour time, 4 hours time, 5 hours time, 10 days time, 10 years time. What is important, it will stop. So because it's ongoing now, it will stop. The best to use what would be the am, the is, the are with any ing verb. But of course, if you use the present simple, of course you run into mistake. That could be, the first thing to look at when it comes to these two elements. So present simple is about expressing fact and habit. Whereas the present progressive or present continuous about what? Something that is happening now that will stop sooner or later. So we come down to past simple and past progressive, or the past tense, we call past tense. So we talk about past tense, something when an activity happened even a second ago. It could be even a second ago. When an action, of course, took place even a second ago, we will say it's in past tense, or it's in the past simple, for instance, even a second ago. And most times, to in fact, qualify in fact that we are talking about something that happened in the past, we sometimes, of course, throw in time marker. We bring in time marker: today, yesterday, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, last year. So these are all time marker. So we throw in time marker to in fact qualify the idea that something happened, okay, and did not continue to the present. An action took place in the past and has no current relevance. Very, very essential. There is nothing in the present that, of course, that will give us a clue as to the fact that something actually has happened like that. So he gave me the money this morning. He gave me the money this morning. So gave is in past tense, and this morning, of course, a time marker that, of course, qualifies that in fact the activity doing with the giving took place some time ago, and in this case, this morning. So you see, so past tense has to do with an action that took place in the past, okay, and did not continue to the present. But for the past progressive, that one has to do with three things. We use the past progressive, meaning the was, the were, okay, plus any ing word. The past progressive or past continuous, the formula for it is having was or were, were, plus any ing verb. Okay, that's what we refer to as the past progressive. It is used to express it is used in the following situation: three significant situations. One, when a long action is interrupted by a short one. When a short action interrupts a long action, that could be the thing. So when a short action interrupts long action. So imagine while we were singing the song, Abu came in. While we were singing the song, Abu came in. So while we were singing the song, singing was an ongoing activity. It was, of course, going on when the idea about Abu coming in, of course, came up. So we use the past progressive in this light. The first one is what? When a shorter action interrupted a longer one. Short action interrupting longer one at that. So let's first look at the past progressive. The past simple. I've given you indications as to how to use it. So here in the last lap, the runner fell and injured his knee. So fell is past tense, injured also is past tense. We are talking about past activity. We say the past tense has to do with an action that took place in the past and did not continue into the present or has got no current relevance at that. So, of course, yesterday we swam in the pool. So, swam is in past tense. Yesterday qualifies in fact that it happened some time ago. Okay, it has no current relevance at all. That's very, very essential. So past tense about something that happened in the past and has no current relevance. And sometimes, most times, to qualify that something happened in the past and has no current relevance, we throw in time marker. Yesterday, 3 hours ago, 4 hours ago, this morning, last year. All these ones are in fact the things we, of course, associate with past activity. You understand? So I was talking about the past progressive. I gave you one usage. That in fact, we use the past progressive, meaning the was and were and ing element, one, to when shorter action interrupts longer one or long one. When short action interrupts long action at that. So we have, while I was watching TV, somebody suddenly knocked on the door. The idea about watching the TV was an ongoing activity. Okay, the short action has to do with the idea of knocked at that. You see, so this is one environment in which one of the environments in which we use the past progressive. The other environment is that when we have two relatively long actions happening at the same time, when we have two relatively long actions happening at the same time. Example we have here, while we were cleaning the room, the children were playing. These are two long actions happening at the same time. Remember, you have to know the situations in which these tenses are used. When you have them, of course, in mind, you will apply them whenever such, circumstances, of course, arise. Very, very essential at that. So while we were cleaning the room, the children were playing. You see, two relatively long actions happening at the same time. The first usage has to do with what? When a short action interrupts long action. Short action interrupting long action. For instance, while I was watching TV, somebody suddenly knocked on the door. The idea of knocking is short, and the idea of watching TV was an ongoing activity at that. You see? So we also use the past progressive, okay, to refer to a future action in the past. To a future action in the past. Example, I thought he was coming back that evening, but unfortunately it didn't. So we are referring to a future action in the past. I thought he was coming back that evening, but unfortunately he didn't. Okay? Or I was expecting him yesterday in the evening. I was expecting him yesterday evening, but he didn't show up, for instance. So you see, he was expecting. Is what? Is the past, of course, progressive. So we use the past progressive, in three different situations. First, when a short action interrupts a long action. 1. 2, when two relatively long actions are happening at the same time. And 3, when we are referring to a future action in the past. When we are referring to a future action in the past, these are the three circumstances, through which we, of course, we use the past progressive. That has to be in your mind. We say the past tense or past simple has to do with what? When something happened in the past and did not continue to the present. Sometimes what do we do? To actually qualify that actually something happened in the past and has no current relevance, what do? We say we throw in a time marker. We bring in a time marker. Yesterday, today, 3 hours ago, 4 hours ago, 7 minutes ago. All this one could be past. So when we use time, when we use a specific time, we require the past simple. Very, very essential. Alright, so one key thing to have in mind about this issue of past progressive and past simple is that the issue of when, the issue of as, and the issue of while. Okay? In correct English, we are not to use the past progressive after when. Don't ever use the past progressive after when. For instance, when I was coming home, I saw him. It's wrong. Grammatically, it's wrong. Okay? When I was coming, I saw him. It's wrong. Should be, if you want to use the past progressive, we require what? Either as or while. While I was coming home, I saw him. Or as I was coming home, I saw him. You cannot say when I was coming home. Okay? When I was doing it, he was busy, whatever. No. While I was doing it, he was busy. Or as I was doing it. So you will use either while or as, okay, with the past progressive. Okay? The when is used with the past simple. When I arrived at the bus stop, I met, he had gone, for instance. See, so when I arrive there is what? Is past simple or past tense. So we could use past tense after when, but we cannot use past progressive after, of course, when. We cannot use the was and the were and the ing element after what? After when. Okay? So, but you will have an ing element after when we call gerund. Remember, there must be no subject. When coming, please buy me some eggs. That one is different too. When coming, buy me some eggs is different. Because after when, we don't have any subject. So when there is a preposition, when coming, buy me some eggs. But if you say, for instance, okay, when coming, I bought him some eggs, for instance, and that's fine. There, you don't say, when I was coming, I bought him some eggs. No, for instance. So when I was coming is wrong because we have subject after what? After when, and of course we have was there as well. So of course using was and coming in that circumstance is wrong. But you can remove the was, we can remove the I and maintain the what? The ing element. We call it gerund. So when coming home, I bought him some eggs. See, yeah? When coming home, I bought him some eggs. But if you add their subject after when, and you add the was and the were and the ing, no. There is no room for that one. So you only use the ing element, remove the was, remove the were, remove the subject, and you of course have, freedom to use when. Of course, there are circumstances, in fact, how people use this one again. That English is now, of course, adjusting to accommodate, slices. If you go to India, India has a different kind of grammar. There are places with different kind of grammar. So the Indian English is so different, not only by way of pronunciation, but by grammar, of course, by dialect. So it's so special in its own regard. So there are elements you hear there when it comes to general grammar. Of course, the other place. So you see, so don't use the past progressive after when. Okay, use while with it, use as with it, but use past simple what with, of course, when. Very, very essential. So we come down to the future tenses, the issue of the will and the be going to future. Okay, something that has to happen. Will and be going to. Let's begin with will. Will is called a future simple. We use will in different circumstances. One among the usages is that we use will to talk about possibility, and sometimes we use expressions that indicate possibility. I hope, I think, maybe, probably, possibility. Possibility is that possibility has to do with something will happen or it will not happen. When something is possible, of course, it will happen or it will not happen. That is possibility. So, of course, we use will to express, an idea that will, of course, will happen or will not happen. So, most times we use what? Or like maybe, I think, I hope, probably, perhaps, what? With will. You see? So, the first example I have here would be, it will probably rain tonight. Will helping the main verb rain. So, it is possibility. It may rain or it may not rain. So I hope he will pass his test. Okay, I hope he will pass his test. Of course, it's about the indication in all these circumstances. In fact, probably in the first one, and of course, I hope indications, words that of course are prompting us to use what? The will. You see, so I hope he will pass his test. Possibility. It may happen or it may not. If we don't hurry, we will what? We will miss our bus. If we don't hurry, we will miss our bus. So we'll miss, of course, it's a possibility. It may happen or it may not happen. That is the first meaning, the first circumstance in which we use, of course, the will. But again, we use will to talk about offer, talk about a promise, and instant decision. Offer. When you want to offer somebody, or when somebody asks you something and you reply instantly, or we call it instant decision or promise. So we will also use will. Remember, let's go to the first usage of will. We use will to express possibility, something that may happen or may not happen. So we use possibility markers with such a word like maybe, I think, I hope, I believe, probably. You see, so the other ways in which we use will be to give promise. To make instant decision. Okay, to take this instant decision, also what? Also even give offer. So let's see here. Speaker A, may I speak to Mr. Kuruma, please? Speaker B says, hold on, I'll put you through. You see, so Speaker A, of course, is making a request, and Speaker B is has resolved to respond and as what? Taking instant decision. Okay? In speaking, instant decision. It's mostly used when speaking. Okay? Can you help me? Okay, I will. Somebody ask me, can you help me? I will help you. I will not say, I am going to help you. I will say, I will help you. What? Because of what? I have taken an instant decision to do so. So also here, Speaker A say, may I speak to Mr. Kuruma, please? Speaker B says, hold on, I'll put you through. That's instant decision. Then we can also use will to make offer. So see here, it's hard to get a taxi at this hour, especially when at 12 to 11, if you are at Lumley, it's so very difficult at that. So it's hard to get a taxi at this hour. I'll give you a ride home. I'll give you a ride home. So of course, this person is making an offer. It's hard to get a taxi at this hour. I'll give you a ride home offering. So we'll use will in this case to offer. Okay. Thirdly, thank you for your email. We will respond within 2 business days. So we'll respond against what? About what? Promise. Okay. I will do it for you. I will give you the money. So when making promises, you use will. When offering, you use will again. When taking instant decision, you use will. And when speaking about possibility, you can also use will. And the last usage will of course attribute to will be that in fact when making prediction. Blue House, I think Blue House will win the contest. Or I think Red House will win. It's about prediction. Okay, we all predict when football matches are when we give a bet, or shall I say when our teams play in leagues, we predict that in fact we will of course see wins at that. So the other use I've just given you, I think Blue House will win this year's sport meeting. It's about prediction. So we go again. So now we use will in about 5 different circumstances. 1, when expressing possibility, something that will happen or will not happen. So normally we use what? We use I hope, I believe, I think, probably, maybe, with such kind of thing. And the other circumstance in which we use will would be in fact to, of course, talking about instant decision. Somebody, of course, asks for your help. Of course, you respond in that manner. Whether you do or not, of course, will be, you have to use will. Okay? And thirdly, we use will to offer. Okay? We want to offer. I will give you the money. Okay? I'll buy you some, whatever. Could be. So, and of course, we use will again to make promises. Okay? To make promise. And lastly, we use will to, of course, make, predictions. Our football games, you see, we predict. So, those are the circumstances, we use will. So, let's come to be going to. When I say be going to, I mean what? Be means am, is, okay? Am, is. These are the key elements. Am, is, and are with, of course, going to. Be means am, in this case. Am, is, are with what? The going to. Now, we use the going to in 2 relevant circumstances. 1, when we are talking about something that is sure to happen, something we believe, something that is starting to happen, we'll use going to. Okay? So, see here for instance, look at those black clouds. Imagine if rain cloud gathered overhead, okay, and it begins to drift towards north, because normally that's how it is. So when rain cloud gathers overhead and you see it's drifting towards north, okay, what do we expect? We expect, of course, rain. So the indication that in fact it will rain, it's going to rain, that we have a dark cloud. In truth, when the cloud is dark, we expect, of course, rain. So that's a very, so it is going to rain any minutes. So we are expecting something that is starting to happen. So look at those black clouds. It's a clear indication that in fact it is going to rain. So we will not say it will rain any minute. No. Because we use will to express possibility. But in this case, we are certain because we see black clouds. So if you say it will going to rain or it will rain any minute, you are wrong. It should be it is going to rain. So use the is going to or are going to, for instance, one meaning what to express idea about something we are sure to happen. For instance, we are sure, of course, will of course take place. Again, he has studied really hard. Is definitely going to pass. Is definitely going to pass. So indeed, that's the common truth. When people study very hard, put in the hard yards, day in and day in day out, what happens? You see, we are of the belief that of course the person is going to pass. So we use going to. One among the two uses, one of course the two uses we say is we use going to talk about something we believe will happen, something certain to happen, for instance. So in all these two circumstances, you see, in fact, we have used going to because the situation, of course, called for one. You see, if we are not sure, then we use what? We use will. Okay? Then the other way we use the be going to future is what? To talk about something we have had plan about. We have something we have planned to do. Okay? Something you have planned to do even before we say it. When you have something in mind, you have planned it before you even say it, the best for you to use what supposed to be going to, the be going to. When you have planned something in mind, the best tends to use when you are talking about something that you, have planned to do in the future, you have to actually use, the be going to. Okay, so see this here. Mr. Koroma isn't here. Let's say, for instance, somebody, came to the office and has sat for some time. Actually, I've seen that, of course, he requires some assistance. And in me, I have in fact got this plan to help this person. So I will say, for instance, I am going to put you through to his assistants. Okay? To his assistant. So here, we are what? We have planned something before we say it. So we use the be going to feature in two circumstances. One, to express something that is sure to happen, that we are certain will happen. Okay? And secondly, when we have had a plan about something before we even say it, we go back to the will. Remember, I told you we can use will in about 5 circumstances. 1, to express possibility. 2, to, of course, take instant decision. 3, to offer. 4, to give promises. And 5, to make predictions. Okay? But the be going to has only 2 usages. 1, to talk about what? To talk about something that is sure to happen. And secondly, something, of course, when we have had a plan about something before you even say it. When we have a plan to do something before you even say it, of course, this was the be going to. So let it be in your mind, carefully speaking. So let's now try to put our understanding into perspective, whether we have understood the issue dealing with this issue of going to and the will. So see here, Speaker A, where are you going? Speaker B, I dash visit a customer. I dash visit a customer. So look at the circumstance. Now Speaker B says, Speaker B has, of course, had this plan in him. That, of course, and then I have to go to visit the customer. So when Speaker A, of course, stops Speaker B in his strides and inquire about where he's going. So the correct future tense to use will be what? The I'm going to. Should not be will going to. Of course, because the first person has had this plan in mind before even saying it. So Speaker B says, I am going to visit a customer. It should not be I will visit a customer. It's I am going to, because the speaker, in fact, has had this plan in mind before even saying it. And in fact, that is one of the usages of the be going to. So see, Speaker A, do you want me to help you? Do you want me to help you? No thanks. John Dash help me. You see, this could be, again, here is about what? It's about this person, in fact, has co-opted John to help him. This person has brought in John to do the help, okay, to help him. So when a good Samaritan, of course, comes around and in fact want to help, you see, of course, the person has had in mind the one to help. So of course, do you want me to help? Speaker B says, no thanks. John Dash help me. Okay, no thanks. John is going to help me. Okay, so of course the speaker has had this one in mind before even saying it. Speaker A, do you want to have the chicken or the beef? Do you want to have the chicken or the beef? This is an immediate offer. You come to a place and you are given choice. You are given 2 choices. Of course, you are required to make your own what? You are given 2 options. You are required to make your choice. Okay, so Do you want to have the chicken or the beef? Speaker B says, I think I dash have the beef. Instant decision. Somebody comes, chicken or beef? Beef, chicken. I think so. You see, so instant decision. Somebody asks you and you make your decision instantly. You know we should use what we require what the will. So we should say, I think I will have the beef. See, I think I will have. No, it should not be. I think I am going to have the beef. No. So you see, so we use the will when talking about instant decision, making offer, making promises, making predictions, and talking about possibility. You know, if you have this in mind, you write good, you will speak good. You speak good English and write good English. Okay, so and this has a number of benefits. It will help you in your writing, and of course, when addressing people again, you of course be at liberty to of course say things according to the way they ought to be. Are we there? So we proceed on to something very essential I left behind. Of course, I did it deliberately. Again, under this issue of what? Under this issue of future, we are bringing again the present progressive. The present progressive meaning the am, the is, the are with any ing verb. We are bringing it again. I told you we use the present progressive to talk about something happening now. Present progressive happening now. That will stop sooner or later. It could be 3 hours time, 10 hours time, 5 days time, 10 days time. The key element there, it has to stop. Okay? But the other way we use this again, we use the present progressive to talk about, future elements, future idea, to express future ideas. Are we there? So now when we are of course talking about fixed arrangement, things we have of course planned to do, we have even given a specific date to do it. Okay, we will use the am or is or are plus any ing verb. Example here, I am having lunch with my parents on Thursday. I am having lunch with my parents on Thursday. I am having lunch with my parents on Thursday. You see here, the fixed time has been Thursday. So we use the present progressive when talking about what? Fixed arrangement. Again, my uncle is what? Is flying to Monrovia the day after tomorrow. Is flying to Monrovia the day after tomorrow. So the day after tomorrow is fixed arrangement at that. Okay? So do not confuse the be going to and of course the present progressive when talking about future. Okay? The be going to, the other use of the be going to is to express something you have had in mind before even saying it. A plan you have in mind before even saying it. Okay? But for the for the present progressive used to indicate future idea, okay, that one has to do with fixed arrangement. A date has been set already. So see here, we are going to get married this year. So we have not stated the date. We have not, of course, outlined whether it will be on the 28th of November, of August. So there is no specific timeline yet. Okay? The plan is about this year. So of course, there is no specific arrangement here. So we are going to get married this year. So of course, going to here is fine. But we are getting married on June 29. It's a fixed arrangement. No going to there again. So we are getting married on June 29. Fixed arrangement at that. So you see, that is the difference between what? Between the issue of what? Using present progressive to indicate the future tense and having the other meaning of the be going to, which has to do with what? A plan one has in mind before even one saying it. Okay? So don't confuse yourself when dealing with this one. You use the present progressive when you have fixed arrangement to refer to the future. But of course, if there is no fixed arrangement, you only have the plan in mind, use what? The be going to future. Very, very essential. Alright, we come down to what? The present perfect tense. The formula for the present perfect tense has to do with have or has plus the past participle of any verb at that, any verb. So have or has. Example, have taken, have eaten, okay, or has taken, has eaten, has flown, has imagined, okay, uh, as as ground, for instance. So we call those ones present perfect tense. So we use the present perfect tense when talking about an action that took place in the past. Okay? That took place in the past, okay, at an indefinite time, for instance. We have the time. And we are never to use the present perfect tense with specific time. No, we are never to use this tense with specific time. Never should we do so. So the present perfect tense is pressing an action or a state of being that occurred at an indefinite time in the past. We are not to use time with it. Okay, so example here, John and Mary have already entered the information into the computer. So I've already entered. So I've already is not. Already is an adverb. Okay, is the element we will find around this kind of tense. So but the verb tense here is what? Is this have and entered. Okay, so John and Mary have entered the information into the computer. Okay, we call this one present perfect tense. The formula has been using has singular, have plural, plus any past participle of any verb. Okay, very essential. So another way to put this will be when action took place in the past and has current relevance. Very, very essential. It took place in the past. It ended there. But the fact that the action took place, in fact, can be visible even as we speak. If that is the case, the tense to use will be what? Will be to use present perfect tense. Something happened in the past, it ended there, but the fact that it took place has, relevance even now. So imagine if we went to play a football, and of course we've done the playing, and then the game has ended, and we are coming back home, and then we are of course very dirty at that. Then of course we are talking about the game itself. The game has actually ended. Okay, but the fact that we are dirty and then we are talking about the game itself, okay, when we are starting home again, we'll use what? We have played football. We will not say we played football. We have played football. Of course, the activity took place in the past, but the fact that it happened, something has happened, can be visible even as we speak. So imagine if you gave me a glass of water, then I of course drank it, and then you see a sip, of course, running down my cheek, for instance. You see me pant. Okay, I was very thirsty. Water is very cold, for instance. So I would say, for instance, I have drunk some water. Okay, actually, the activity about drinking the water took place in the past, but the fact that I drank some water is visible even as we speak. So the tense to you will be what? Will be the present perfect tense. So I have drunk some water. It will not be I drank some water. So you want to say I drank some water when something happened in the past and hasn't got any current relevance and hasn't got anything relevant as you speak. For instance, if somebody ate some food or ate some food this morning, and then 7 hours later, and then the person say, for instance, I have eaten some food this morning. Okay, it is very wrong at that, because as we speak, there is no, of course, indication, no sign at present to give us, and to give us to give us clue about the fact that something actually happened, something has happened. So if you ate some food 3 or 4 hours ago, and then you sit at a place very quiet and then very quietly thinking about something very different, and around you there is no sign that of course you ate some food, the best tense to use what will be to use what? The past tense. Okay, I ate some food. There is no indication at present. But if something happened in the past, you have a current indication about that thing happened. That thing, of course, an indication of the thing happening, or something that has of course taken place. You of course use the present perfect tense. Let that be in your mind. We use the present perfect tense to talk about something that of course happened in the past and has current relevance. Very, very essential. So you see, so we can also use the present perfect tense to talk about something that began in the past and in fact is still continuing. Of course, it began in the past, it is still ongoing. Please, I have given you a number of ways to use, shall I say 2 ways to use, in fact, the present perfect tense. Okay? When something happened in the past at an indefinite time in the past. Okay? That could be one thing. Another one would be what? When something, of course, happened in the past, it ended there, but of course, it has some sign as we speak. Okay? And thirdly, when something happened in the past and continues into or began in the past and continues into the present. Example, Mr. Kamara has taught school for 21 years. See? Mr. Kamara has taught school for 21 years. At that. So, Mr. Kamara began teaching school, in the past, okay, and even at now, he is at present a teacher. Okay, so Mr. Kamara has taught school for 21 years. This tells about something that began in the past and in fact is still ongoing at that. Okay, and as I told you, you are not to use the present perfect tense with time. If you need time, you have to use what? The past simple instead. So example here, they have eaten the food this morning is wrong. Have eaten is a present perfect tense. This morning is a time marker. We are never to use this one, okay, with this tense. Never. So, they ate the food this morning. You say ate to sound British and you will say ate to sound American. So, AT could be either ate or ate. So, it's up to what you want to use. If you ate, American, and ate is of course British. So, they ate the food this morning. So, of course, it's correct because past tense, it happened there, and of course, and stop there. And to indicate that something happened and then stop there, of course, we have what? We have this time marker this morning, of course. We are going for a break and coming back. When we come back, you will see what I will give you.
Since the inception of the West African Senior Secondary School Certificate Examination, university requirement has largely called for 5 subjects. Mandatory among these are English language and mathematics. Every year, thousands of students run into the cause of either having to resit for not getting credits on English and mathematics or painfully changing career path owing to same. To help modify this narrative, Star Television presents on your screen Learning Garage, a platform that guarantees better performance in English language and mathematics with a team of experienced teachers. To this solution, you all are invited, especially those facing WASC. Learning Garage comes to you on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Repeat broadcasts are screened on Saturdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. and on Sundays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Join host Alisonta Kamara.
If you mean such element, then of course we'll say the waters of the world in that regard.
And Babatunde Gaira Lamin on these days to make a world of difference.
Fraction that has a numerator which is less than the denominator, we term it as a proper fraction.
Welcome back. We are almost at the verge of ending this class. Before we do so, let me just take you through the following words we use always. Shall I say the following phrases we use always? Okay, so we say always. Most times you hear people say over the weekend, during the weekend, and you hear again on the weekend, at the weekend, sometimes on the weekends, plural, of course. So these are all correct. They are all correct. It's a matter of what to use, okay? So we use over and during the weekend actually have the same meaning. It means from Friday evening to Sunday evening. Okay? Over the weekend and during the weekend means from Friday evening to Sunday evening, okay? But what you have to have in mind is that on the weekend is typically an American usage, whereas at the weekend is typically a British usage. So of course, if you want to sound British, you will say at the weekend. American on the weekend. Well, if you want to be in between, you say over the weekend or during the weekend. Okay? So to sound correct and sound proper, we are colonized by who? By those in England, so we'll say, for instance, at the weekend. Okay? On the weekend, American. During the weekend is, of course, generally used, and over the weekend. These two actually mean from Friday evening to, of course, Sunday and evening. That's the idea about all this one. Okay? Or we pray during the weekends. We pray during the weekends, like that. So this is how we will bring the curtain down to today's program. Thanks for joining me. Being your presenter, Santa, until, of course, Wednesday, when we of course continue with tenses, and of course we'll bring past questions and controversial, of course, topics. See you.
Since the inception of the West African Senior Secondary School Certificate Examination, university requirement has largely called for 5 subjects. Mandatory among these are English language and mathematics. Every year, thousands of students run into the cause of either having to resit for not getting credits on English and mathematics, or painfully changing career path owing to same. To help modify this narrative, Star Television presents on your screen Learning Garage, a platform that guarantees better performance in English language and mathematics with a team of experienced teachers. To this solution, you all are invited, especially those facing WASC. Learning Garage comes to you on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Repeat broadcasts are screened on Saturdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. and on Sundays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Join host Ali Sonta Kamara.
If you mean such element, then of course we'll say the waters of the world in that regard.
And Babatunde Gaira Lamin on these days to make a world of difference.
Fraction that has a numerator which is less than the denominator, we term it as a proper fraction.